First thing you're going to want to do is turn on the light board. There's a switch right at the back and you'll feel around with your finger and you're going to want to turn it on. Once the screen on the monitor loads, you will be able to switch between different viewing modes. You're only going to need to know about the stage setting and the patch setting. When you're on patch, you can see what dimmers are connected to what channels. So the way it should be isn't always the way it's set up. So if you come here one day and you realize that one of the channels isn't actually connected to the right dimmers and it's lighting up two different lights that aren't supposed to be grouped together, you can change that very easily. All you have to do is be on the patch window and start off with the dimmer number that you want to move. So for this example, I want to move 6 and then I hit enter and I want to move it to, let's say, channel 4. So I go 4, enter, and it has moved onto channel 4. And then to move it back, very simple again. You go 6, enter, and now I want to move it to channel 5. So you go 5, enter, and there you have it. That is how you move the dimmers between channels. You got to make sure that your master is around 7, which is 70%. You can go up to 75%, but you don't need to go any higher. Actually, when the channels are at 100% and moved all the way up, they will only ever be at what the master is at. As long as the master is at around 7 or 8 and no more than that, we have no problem in moving any of these channels all the way up because they'll only ever go to what the master is at. You don't want the master to be at 100% because that is too much power. These buttons here, when pressed, will actually jump the light to whatever percentage the master is at. So when the master is at 76% and we want to quickly put a light at 76%, you can actually just press one of these buttons and it'll jump you right to whatever the master is at. And that's fun because maybe you need to actually put in a little bit more lighting in that you didn't realize you needed when you were putting the cues in. And come showtime, you want to quickly fix that. You'll just press it and hold it and you can light up the scene. The blackout button is right above the master, and when it's pressed, it'll blink up here on the monitor. That might be why your scene is completely dark, because the blackout button has been pushed. That has freaked me out many times before. You just gotta press it again to get rid of the blackout. It's also nice for at the end of a show, maybe you want to black out immediately, and that is something you can do. Keep that in mind. These are the fades. We want to make sure that the fades, A and B, are both up. And last but not least, we have the psych. The psych is the screen that the color will project onto, and it works in RGB mode. So we have red, green, blue, and the combination of a few will make different colors to show on your scene. Now that we've learned how to use the board, the next thing we need to learn is how to set up a scene properly. What we need to know is what's going on in the scene, who is in the scene, how many people are in the scene, and where they move in the scene. The most important part is where they move in the scene, because the different scenes are broken up even further into cues. So if one person moves from one side of the stage to the other side of the stage, that is considered a cue, and we need to program in both sides so that they flow nicely when the person is moving on stage. If one person's giving a monologue that's sad or something that displays like a singular emotion like loneliness or something, we wouldn't want the entire stage to be lit up. We'd want only the person who's talking to be lit up with perhaps some color. That's all we'd need, really. Another example is if in the scene we're in perhaps an office or somewhere serious, we wouldn't really want much color on the back because it would be in an office, it would be lit up by just fluorescent lights. So we're not going to want a lot of change in color during the scene. A common example of a scene would be outside. Perhaps we light it up blue, lots and lots of side lighting to give the impression that people are outside right now. The next step in properly setting up a show will be to program in the cues that you've just created. Now we come to this part of the board here, which we haven't really gotten to yet. What we do is we hit record, we hit the number of cue we want, and this will be the first scene, so we'll go 1 and then enter. Now it's recorded, that's all you need to do. So to test it, let's remove all of the lighting on the stage, and then we'll just hit go, right? So we'll continue this process a few more times using record and then hitting the cue and then enter. There's more things that you can control in a scene. For instance, time. A good example is in the show Bold, the Young, and the Murdered. They needed to have quick flashes of red to signify that a murder has happened. You have to select your cue, make sure it's already there, and you find time. You hit time, and then you have to enter 2 times, one of them being the up fade time, and the other one being the down fade time. Just for an example, we'll enter 3, enter for up fade time, and 3, enter for down fade time. And there you have just set the time. Thank you for listening, and remember, this is a very good way to get some volunteer hours that you might need to graduate, and also just a fun way to be useful in the theater and help out with shows.